Commander Vera stood at the center of the council chamber, her tall frame casting a long shadow on the polished metal floor. The chamber hummed with quiet energy as representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations gathered. Each species had its own customs, its own appearance, and its own pride. Vera's species, the Lissari, were known for their strategic genius, sharp minds, and strict discipline. To them, war was not chaos. It was mathematics, patterns, and precise execution. Vera had faced countless generals, strategists, and warlords, and she had yet to meet one who could match her mind. The galaxy, she believed, belonged to those who could think faster than they could act. And yet, here she was, listening to a proposition that made her brow furrow in disbelief. A small, nervous-looking alien stepped forward. He was a member of the Thalran, a species famous for their speed and intelligence but known to be easily flustered. He cleared his throat. "Commander Vera, honored council members," he began, his voice quivering. "I propose that we consider the use of humans as auxiliary warriors. Their physical capabilities are limited, but they show adaptability, creativity, and unusual resilience." The chamber fell silent. A low murmur of disbelief rippled through the crowd. "Humans, warriors?" The idea seemed almost laughable. Vera raised a hand. "I fail to see how humans can contribute meaningfully," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "Their species has barely mastered space travel compared to us. Their battles are primitive, often reckless, and they lack any structured discipline. To rely on humans in a strategic conflict is absurd." A few council members shifted uncomfortably, but most nodded in agreement. The idea seemed ridiculous. Vera continued, her words precise, cutting through any remaining doubt. "We deal with empires that crush entire worlds in days. Humans cannot even defend their own. Suggesting that they could influence interstellar warfare is not only naive, it is dangerous." The Thalran ambassador swallowed hard, clearly unprepared for this level of criticism. "Commander, they have survived," Vera interrupted smoothly, "because they rely on luck, intuition, and improvisation. These are not qualities of a disciplined warrior. Chaos may serve them temporarily, but it will not survive against an organized army." The room echoed with polite laughter. Vera's confidence was undeniable. She had faced foes across galaxies, seen tactics that would have broken lesser minds, and yet she remained unshaken. And yet, a small voice inside her mind nudged at her. Humans were unpredictable. That much was true. But what if unpredictability was a weapon rather than a weakness? She pushed the thought aside. It was irrelevant. Humans were weak, and the numbers proved it. The council decided to dismiss the proposal. Humans would not participate. Vera felt a quiet satisfaction. She had prevented a mistake before it even began. She turned to leave the chamber when a voice stopped her in her tracks. "Commander Vera." She froze. The voice was human. Calm, steady, and certain. Not raised in challenge, but in confidence. Vera spun around. A human male stood at the entrance to the chamber, tall for his species, with sharp eyes that seemed to see directly into her mind. His posture was straight, disciplined, and yet relaxed. There was something about him, a quiet command that immediately demanded attention. "You must be mistaken," Vera said, her tone icy. "Humans are not permitted here. This council does not recognize—" "I know," he interrupted gently. "I am aware of the rules, but I am here because I volunteered. And I know your name." Vera's eyes narrowed. Her name was rarely spoken by outsiders. It was not a secret, but it was respected. Only those who had observed her closely, who had studied her history, would address her directly like this. "Your audacity is remarkable," she said, though a flicker of curiosity crossed her mind. "You claim to know me." "Who are you, human?" "Captain Arik," he replied simply. "I come from Earth. I have trained, learned, and prepared. I wish to prove that humans can fight, adapt, and survive in conditions no other species can endure. I am here to show that humans are not weak." Vera studied him. His confidence was unusual. Most humans she had observed were unpredictable in their recklessness, lacking discipline. Yet Arik's calm determination suggested something more, something she could not immediately define. "Very well," she said finally. "You will not be allowed to participate in council decisions. But I will watch. You will undergo observation, and if you fail to impress, you will be dismissed." Arik inclined his head respectfully. "Understood, Commander," the council murmured. Many were uneasy, some skeptical, and a few curious. A human volunteering was one thing, but speaking directly to Vera, Knowing her name and presenting himself without fear was another entirely. The next day, Vera met Arik at the training grounds. The facility was located on a barren, rocky planet, chosen for its harsh conditions. The air was thin, the gravity slightly heavier than Earth's, and the terrain was jagged and unforgiving. Many alien species had struggled to endure even a single day there. Arik stood at the edge of the training field, observing the landscape. "It is harsh," he said calmly. "But I am ready." Vera crossed her arms. "Most species would collapse within hours. Humans, I assume, are fragile and unable to adapt. Why do you insist on being here?" Arik smiled faintly. "Because humans have survived where others would not. We find solutions when others see only problems. We endure. That is our strength." Vera raised an eyebrow. "Endurance is not strategy. Improvisation is not planning. You may survive, but you will not win battles." Arik's eyes were steady. "Sometimes, Commander, survival becomes victory. Sometimes the unexpected can shift the balance of power. I intend to show you both." Vera led him through a series of exercises designed to test strength, agility, and intelligence. She watched as Arik approached each challenge with calm assessment. When faced with a treacherous climb, he scanned the terrain, calculated his moves, and used simple tools to scale it efficiently. When confronted with a complex puzzle meant to test cognitive reasoning, he paused only briefly, then solved it in a way that even Vera had not anticipated. The other human volunteers performed well too, but Arik stood out. He was not the strongest nor the fastest, but he adapted with a combination of logic, creativity, and fearlessness. Vera could not ignore the results. By the end of the day, she found herself reviewing her assumptions in private. Could humans truly be underestimated? Was there more to their resilience than she had assumed? She shook her head. It was irrelevant. One day did not make a warrior. That evening, as the red sun of the alien planet dipped below jagged peaks, Vera returned to her quarters. She was deep in thought when a soft knock sounded at her door. "Enter," she called. Still cautious, Arik stepped in, carrying no weapons. No gadgets, only his calm presence. "You have questions," he said simply. Vera's eyes narrowed. "I have no questions. I have observations. Humans may endure, but endurance alone does not win wars." Arik nodded. "True. But endurance combined with creativity, courage, and adaptability can surprise even the most confident opponent. You will see it soon, Commander." Vera's mind reeled. She had faced countless opponents, but something about Arik unsettled her. He spoke as if he already knew outcomes, as if he had anticipated her every thought. And the fact that he had called her name twice, once in the council and once here, made her uneasy in a way she could not explain. "Do not think for a moment that I am impressed," she said, trying to hide her curiosity. "You still have much to prove." Arik smiled faintly. "I expect nothing less, Commander. I am here to prove it, not to ask for your approval. And I will begin tomorrow. Observe carefully." As he left, Vera sat in silence, for the first time in her career. She wondered if she had misjudged an entire species. Could humans truly possess a strength no other species had? Could they turn unpredictability into a weapon? The answer was uncertain. But one thing was clear. Arik and his people had captured her attention. Whether she liked it or not, the galaxy was about to witness a new kind of warrior, and Vera would be there to see it unfold. And deep inside, she knew one truth she could not yet admit aloud. She was intrigued. The morning sun barely touched the jagged peaks of the alien training planet when Commander Vera arrived at the human encampment. Mist hung low across the rocky terrain, giving the landscape a mysterious, almost dangerous appearance. Vera's tall frame moved with precise purpose as she approached the humans who had gathered in the open area, their expressions a mix of determination and curiosity. Captain Arik stood at the front, his posture calm but commanding. Even in simple training garb, his presence radiated focus. The other humans mirrored his readiness, each one standing with a quiet confidence that Vera found unsettling. "Today," Vera began, her voice cutting through the chilly air, "you will undergo your first test. This is not a game. Many species have failed under these conditions. Humans are fragile and unprepared. I expect you to fail. Survive, perhaps, but do not expect success." Arik did not flinch. "Understood, Commander. We will do our best." Vera gestured to a series of obstacles that sprawled across the rocky valley. The challenges were designed to test strength, agility, intelligence, and teamwork. Alien species had attempted these trials before, and most had struggled with coordination, environmental hazards, or sheer exhaustion. The humans began immediately. Arik led the group to the first obstacle, a jagged canyon with a narrow bridge of rock over a deep chasm. The wind howled across the gap, and many species had fallen trying to cross it. Farah watched closely, expecting hesitation. Instead, Arik paused at the edge, studying the bridge. He observed the patterns of loose stones and the slight cracks in the surface. Then he stepped carefully, placing each foot with precision, maintaining balance against the gusts of wind. Behind him, the humans followed, using ropes, teamwork, and careful coordination. Some faltered, but Arik adjusted quickly, offering guidance and support. Every movement was calculated but flexible, blending caution with adaptability. Vera raised an eyebrow. She had seen intelligence before, but not like this. Humans seemed to combine instinct and logic in a way no alien species could. Next came a puzzle embedded in the rocks, a series of ancient mechanisms designed to test reasoning and problem-solving under pressure. Alien participants often froze, unsure which lever to pull, which tile to press, or which sequence to activate. Arik studied the mechanisms silently. He observed the patterns, the subtle engravings, and the timing of the moving parts. Then, with deliberate movements, he manipulated the puzzle, adjusting each step as it responded. One by one, the mechanisms clicked into place. The puzzle, which had defeated the strongest alien minds, opened a hidden passage. Vera stepped forward, astonished. "Impressive," she admitted quietly. "But observation alone is not enough. Physical endurance will test your limits." The humans moved on to the next trial, a climb up a steep cliff with minimal handholds. The rock was sharp, the wind relentless, and the gravity slightly heavier than Earth's. Many species had given up halfway, slipping back down in frustration or fear. Arik approached the cliff calmly. He analyzed the rock, chose the most stable holds, and began the ascent. Other humans followed, some struggling, some moving with surprising speed. Vera noticed something remarkable. When someone faltered, another human offered assistance, sometimes creating simple tools from the environment to improve grip or balance. Where aliens relied on personal strength or brute power, humans relied on ingenuity and cooperation. Hours passed. Vera remained silent, observing. The humans were not the fastest nor the strongest in raw terms, but they endured. They adapted. They solved problems that had no straightforward answers. And most importantly, they refused to give up. By mid-afternoon, Vera was no longer certain she could predict the outcome. The humans had reached the final challenge, a simulated battlefield scattered with hazards, traps, and a small team of alien scouts acting as opposition. The humans moved together with quiet coordination. Arik directed them with subtle signals, no words wasted. They avoided traps with careful observation and clever improvisation. When the alien scouts engaged, the humans did not meet force with force. Instead, they used tactics, environmental advantages, and quick thinking. Rocks were rolled to block paths, shadows were used to hide movements, and noise was created to mislead the opposition. Vera could hardly believe her eyes. The humans were succeeding where others would have failed, and yet they were not reckless. Each move was deliberate, each decision calculated. It was a combination of unpredictability and intelligence she had never witnessed. At one point, a trap triggered unexpectedly, releasing a series of falling boulders toward the humans. Arik shouted instructions and the team reacted instantly. They used ropes to swing across gaps, created makeshift barriers, and coordinated movements so precisely that not one human was injured. Vera's mind raced. This was not merely endurance or adaptability. This was strategy, innovation, and courage combined. Humans, she realized, had a type of strength that could not be measured by simple numbers or physical prowess. As the final moment of the trial approached, Arik led the humans to a high ridge overlooking the valley. The alien scouts had regrouped for one last attempt to stop them. Arik surveyed the terrain, then spoke to his team. His voice was calm, yet every human moved instantly, understanding his intent without confusion. In a series of coordinated actions, the humans outmaneuvered the scouts. They used the cliffs, the shadows, and their own teamwork to reach the ridge safely. The aliens, skilled as they were, could not predict the humans' movements. The final result was undeniable. The humans had completed the trial successfully, showing resilience, intelligence, and courage beyond expectation. Vera stepped forward slowly, her eyes fixed on Arik. She had expected chaos, failure, perhaps even disaster. Instead, she saw control, innovation, and leadership. The human had done more than survive. He had mastered the challenges. Arik approached her. "Commander," he said simply, "we are ready for the next step. Observation is done. We are ready to prove our worth in the field." Vera remained silent for a moment. The pride in his tone was clear, but it was not arrogance. It was confidence grounded in ability, not in expectation, and that made it even more formidable. "You have performed beyond my expectations," she admitted finally, her voice low and thoughtful. "Humans are not what I assumed. I underestimated your species. Perhaps you are more capable than I thought." Arik nodded respectfully. "We are willing to show more, Commander. Not just to prove strength, but to demonstrate that humans can adapt where others fail, that we can endure, survive, and succeed in ways that may surprise even the most skilled strategist." Vera considered his words carefully. There was truth in them, and it unsettled her more than she wished to admit. She had always believed in predictability, structure, and controlled outcomes. Humans thrived in unpredictability. Their strength was different from any she had encountered. "You will continue training," she said at last, "but the Council must be informed. Your success cannot remain unnoticed. Others will doubt. You must prove yourselves again and again." Arik inclined his head. "Understood, Commander. We are ready." As the sun dipped low behind the jagged cliffs, Vera stood silently, watching the humans prepare their camp for the night. She could not deny it any longer. Her assumptions were flawed. And though she would not admit it aloud, a spark of curiosity had ignited. For the first time in her career, Vera felt uncertain in a way that was both exciting and dangerous. She had underestimated humans, and now she would need to watch them carefully, for the galaxy might soon see a power it had never expected. And deep inside, Vera could not shake one thought. The human warrior who had called her name Captain Arik was not like the others. He was extraordinary, and she had only just begun to understand why. The sky above the contested planet burned with streaks of orange and violet as the alien fleet hovered in formation. This world, rich in resources, had been the center of conflict between rival alien empires for decades. The Council had reluctantly agreed to deploy the human contingent, and Commander Vera had been assigned to oversee their performance. She still held doubts, but curiosity and an unusual respect for the humans tugged at her mind. Captain Arik stood on the observation ridge with his team, scanning the battlefield below. The humans were fewer in number than most alien forces, and their ships were smaller, less equipped for direct confrontation, yet they moved with confidence, their discipline and strategy visible even at this distance. "Commander Vera," Arik said calmly, "we are ready to proceed. Observe carefully. We do not fight like others, but we fight to survive and to win." Vera's sharp eyes followed his movements, noting the precision in every decision. "I will observe," she replied, her voice quiet but firm. "Do not disappoint me, human." Arik allowed himself a small smile, though it held no arrogance. "We do not seek to disappoint, Commander. We seek to adapt." The human strike team launched from their small transport, weaving through asteroid debris that littered the planet's orbit. The opposing alien fleet, larger and better armed, moved predictably, relying on brute strength and overwhelming firepower. Vera's lips pressed together. She had studied these tactics for centuries. Predictable, efficient, and dangerous, but they had a weakness. Arik's humans would exploit it. The first engagement occurred in the asteroid belt surrounding the planet. A small fleet of alien interceptors surged toward the humans, expecting easy kills. The humans scattered, not chaotically, but in carefully calculated maneuvers that exploited every shadow asteroid and gravitational shift. Vera watched, her mind racing. She had never seen such precision combined with creativity. One human ship led the aliens into a narrow asteroid passage. The others followed, using the rocks as shields. When the alien ships fired, their beams ricocheted harmlessly off the asteroids, striking no one. "Remarkable," Vera muttered under her breath. "They anticipate movement I would not have expected." On the surface of the planet, the humans faced their second challenge. Alien troops had established defensive positions around critical resources. Many species would have attempted a direct assault, relying on superior strength. Not Auric's team. Auric gathered his strike force and surveyed the terrain. "We do not confront them head-on," he said. "We use the environment. We move where they least expect, and we strike where it will matter most." The humans moved silently through the rugged terrain, using natural cover, shadows, and minor elevations to their advantage. When an alien patrol approached, they did not attack immediately. Instead, they created distractions. Small explosions here, misleading signals there. The patrol, confused and unable to predict their movements, fell into traps carefully prepared by Auric's team. Vera's heart raced. She had expected humans to be clever in controlled trials, but to see them improvise under real combat conditions was another matter entirely. They were not reckless. They were adaptive, strategic, and fearless. The battle escalated. Alien reinforcements arrived, and the humans faced overwhelming numbers. Many species would have panicked, but Auric's team remained coordinated. They split into smaller units, each acting independently yet in harmony with the larger plan. One group created barriers from rocks and debris, slowing the enemy's advance. Another used the terrain to funnel the aliens into narrow passages where their numbers were less effective. Vera's skepticism wavered. She realized something profound. Humans did not rely solely on strength or technology. They relied on imagination, intuition, and rapid adaptation. Their minds were weapons as sharp as any blade or cannon. Then came the critical moment. An alien commander, sensing the humans' strategy, prepared a powerful strike that could have destroyed Auric's entire team. Vera watched with tense anticipation, certain this was where the humans would fail. Auric's eyes narrowed. He studied the battlefield for a long moment, then spoke clearly, addressing his team with precise commands. The humans moved with extraordinary coordination. They used rocks, slopes, and their small ships to create an illusion of vulnerability, drawing the enemy into a trap. When the alien strike launched, it struck nothing but decoy positions, leaving the humans unharmed. Vera's jaw tightened. She could not deny it. The humans had turned a desperate situation into a decisive advantage. Their creativity, quick thinking, and willingness to take calculated risks had allowed them to survive what no other species could. During the final push, Auric led a small unit directly against the alien commander. Instead of attacking with force alone, they employed clever tactics, diversionary maneuvers, synchronized strikes, and environmental traps. The alien commander, expecting a conventional assault, was overwhelmed by the humans' ingenuity. The battle ended with a stunning human victory, despite their smaller numbers and inferior firepower. Vera stepped forward from her observation post, her expression unreadable. The humans had done more than survive. They had turned the tide of battle. She approached Auric as he regrouped his team. "You speak of adaptation and ingenuity," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Today you have shown both. Humans have exceeded my expectations. Perhaps my earlier assumptions were flawed." Auric inclined his head respectfully. "We do not seek to impress, Commander. We seek to survive and to achieve our objectives. But I am pleased that you recognize our capabilities." Vera's mind was racing. She had trained for centuries to predict outcomes, to calculate risks, and to command forces efficiently. Yet humans operated differently. They thrived where rules failed, where conventional thinking could not prevail. Their strength was not brute force, it was the ability to see possibilities others overlooked. "You surprise me," she admitted finally. "Not many have managed to do so in my lifetime." Auric's gaze met hers. "That is because most expect humans to follow predictable patterns. We do not. Our unpredictability is our strength. It is not weakness, Commander, it is power." The humans celebrated quietly. There was no arrogance, no excessive pride. They acknowledged their victory, but their focus was already on the next challenge. For them, this battle was only a step toward proving that humans could fight and endure in the galaxy. Vera observed silently. She could feel her skepticism giving way to respect. These humans had not only survived, they had excelled. And in doing so, they had forced her to reconsider her understanding of strength, courage, and strategy. That night, Vera returned to her quarters, replaying the battle in her mind. She had expected failure. She had expected chaos. Instead, she had witnessed creativity, teamwork, and resilience of a kind she had never seen. A soft knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it to find Arik standing there calm as ever. "You have questions," he said simply without preamble. "I do," Vera admitted. "How do you humans achieve such results with so little training compared to other species? How do you coordinate under pressure so effectively?" Arik smiled faintly. "Commander, humans rely on observation, intuition, and cooperation. We do not act as individuals alone. We act as a unit, anticipating challenges and adapting to changes in real time. Strength is not just in the body or the weapon, it is in the mind and the courage to act despite uncertainty." Vera considered his words carefully. She had spent centuries believing in predictability, structure, and strict order. Humans had no strict rules, no predictable patterns, and yet they had succeeded where structured empires had failed. "You are remarkable," she said quietly, almost to herself, "and dangerous in ways I did not anticipate." Arik inclined his head. "That is the nature of humans, Commander. We are resilient, resourceful, and willing to act where others hesitate. We survive, and in surviving we find strength others do not expect." Vera felt a spark of understanding. The galaxy was changing, and humans, despite their apparent weakness, were becoming a force that could not be ignored. She realized with an unspoken thrill that this was only the beginning. The first battle had been won, but the story was far from over. Humans had proven themselves capable in ways the galaxy had never anticipated, and Vera knew that if they continued, humans could reshape the understanding of what a warrior truly was. She also knew one more thing. Captain Arik, the human who had spoken her name so calmly and confidently, had not yet revealed the full extent of his abilities. And Vera, for the first time, was eager and perhaps a little wary to see what came next. The battle over the contested planet had ended, leaving the human strike team victorious though exhausted. The alien council chambers buzzed with whispers and cautious admiration. Many council members were still uneasy about humans, while others, like Vera, found themselves reevaluating long-held assumptions. Vera walked through the chamber, her tall frame casting a shadow across the polished floor. She could feel the eyes of other species on her, some skeptical, some curious. The humans had proven themselves in combat, yet the council remained hesitant. They saw only what they wanted to see, a few lucky victories. Vera knew better. Humans were not lucky. They were adaptable, intelligent, and courageous beyond measure. Back at the human base, Vera observed the team as they rested and tended to their equipment. Arik moved among them, quietly offering guidance and encouragement. The humans worked together seamlessly, each aware of the other's strengths and weaknesses. Their unity was striking, and Vera found herself studying it with a mix of curiosity and respect. "You are unusual," she said quietly as she approached Arik. "Your species is not what I expected. You fight with more than skill. You fight with creativity, intuition, and coordination." "It is remarkable," Arik nodded respectfully. "Thank you, Commander. Humans have always survived by adapting. Strength is not always physical. It is in the mind, the heart, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. That is what we bring to the galaxy." Vera's mind raced. She had spent centuries relying on strategy, discipline, and predictability. Humans had none of those in the traditional sense, yet they had succeeded where many others failed. She realized she had underestimated them in ways she could not yet fully articulate. The council, meanwhile, was not as impressed. Some members whispered that the humans had been lucky, that their victories were circumstantial. Vera, however, could see the truth. Luck played no part in their success. It was intelligence, courage, and adaptability. She decided it was time to advocate for them. At the next council meeting, Vera spoke with a quiet authority that commanded attention. "The humans have demonstrated capabilities that cannot be ignored. They are not weak. They are not reckless. They adapt, innovate, and survive in conditions that would overwhelm most species. Their strength is different, but it is real." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some council members nodded while others frowned. Vera continued, her voice firm. "We have relied on predictability for too long. The galaxy is changing. The humans bring something new, something powerful. They are not merely auxiliary forces. They are a resource, an advantage we cannot afford to dismiss." Despite her advocacy, opposition remained. Some species feared change, feared unpredictability, and feared humans. Political rivals whispered that Vera was being influenced, that her judgment was compromised. But she did not waver. She had seen the humans in action. She had witnessed their courage, their ingenuity, and their unity. She could not ignore it. Meanwhile, the humans were preparing for their next mission. This time, it was a daring operation to infiltrate an enemy stronghold and gather critical intelligence. The Council had hesitated, but Vera insisted. If humans can succeed here, the galaxy will understand their true value, she argued. Arik and his team studied the mission parameters carefully. This will require precision, patience, and creativity, Arik said to his team. We do not rush. We adapt, we survive, and we succeed. The team moved like a single organism. Each member knew their role, but each also remained flexible, ready to respond to unexpected developments. Arik led them with calm authority, anticipating challenges before they arose. Vera watched from a distance, her respect for the humans growing with every passing moment. As the mission began, the humans encountered numerous obstacles. Security drones, laser grids, and complex locks challenged them at every turn. Yet they approached each problem not with brute force, but with careful observation and innovative solutions. When one drone blocked a hallway, they used mirrors and light reflections to create confusion, slipping past undetected. When a door required a code, they observed patterns in security rotations, anticipating the correct sequence. Vera followed the mission through a secure feed, silently analyzing each move. She was struck by the humans' patience, their ability to remain calm under pressure, and their ingenuity. Every action was calculated, every risk measured, yet they moved with confidence that inspired those around them. The turning point came when the humans reached the heart of the enemy stronghold. They discovered critical information about the enemy's fleet movements and supply routes. But extraction was not simple. The enemy had anticipated interference and set multiple traps to prevent retreat. Arik quickly assessed the situation. We do not retreat blindly, he instructed. We use the environment, we create distractions, and we move as one. Follow my lead. The humans executed a series of precise maneuvers. They triggered false alarms, creating confusion among the enemy forces. They used natural terrain features to block pursuit, and they coordinated their movement so effectively that not a single member was captured or injured. Within hours, the mission was complete, and the humans returned safely to base with the intelligence. Vera could hardly believe what she had seen. The humans had accomplished what many alien teams would have failed to do. Their victory was not due to strength or numbers, but to strategy, creativity, and courage. She addressed the Council again, this time with greater urgency. The humans have demonstrated extraordinary capability. They are not only able to survive, they can achieve objectives that other species cannot. To dismiss them would be a grave error. Some Council members remained hesitant, but others were convinced. Vera's words carried weight, and her observations were difficult to ignore. Slowly, attitudes began to shift. The humans were no longer seen as weak or unreliable. They were recognized as a unique and valuable force. Vera returned to the human base, her mind still processing the implications. She approached Arik, who was reviewing mission data with his team. You have done more than prove yourselves, she said quietly. You have changed the way I and perhaps others see your species. I underestimated you. That was a mistake. Arik looked up, his expression calm and composed. Recognition is not our goal, Commander. We seek only to perform to the best of our ability, to survive and to contribute where we can. The rest will follow naturally. Vera nodded. There was wisdom in his words, and she felt a growing admiration for the human way of thinking. It was different from her own, yet effective in ways she had never imagined. The Council, meanwhile, was facing internal debates. Some feared that relying on humans could upset traditional power balances. Others saw the potential advantage humans could provide in future conflicts. Tensions rose, and political rivals began to target Vera, questioning her judgment and loyalty. Vera was unshaken. She had witnessed human strength firsthand, and she would not abandon her assessment. She would continue to support them, even if it meant facing opposition. That evening, she stood outside the human encampment, observing the team as they trained, repaired equipment, and prepared for future missions. The humans moved with quiet purpose, their unity and coordination evident in every action. You are extraordinary, Vera admitted softly, almost to herself, and dangerous in ways that many will not yet understand. Arik approached, sensing her reflection. Commander, humans have always adapted to survive. Our strength is not in what others see, but in what they cannot anticipate. That is why we endure. Vera considered his words. She realized that humans had not only survived, they had thrived in environments and situations where others would have failed. Their unpredictability, resourcefulness, and courage were qualities that could not be measured by simple comparisons. "You have opened my eyes," she said quietly. "I now see that strength is not always measured by power or technology. Sometimes it is measured by resilience, creativity, and the ability to act when others hesitate." Arik nodded, a faint smile on his face. "Commander, that is the essence of humanity. We survive, we adapt, and we fight in ways that others cannot anticipate. That is what makes us strong." Vera stood silently, reflecting on the events of the past weeks. She had entered this mission confident that humans were weak, predictable, and unreliable. Yet they had proven her wrong at every turn. Their courage, ingenuity, and unity had forced her to reevaluate everything she thought she knew about strength and warfare. The galaxy was changing, and humans were at the forefront of that change. Vera understood that fully now, and she felt a sense of excitement and anticipation she had not experienced in centuries. The humans were not just warriors. They were pioneers of a new kind of strength, one that could alter the balance of power across the stars. And deep inside, Vera knew one truth she could not yet admit aloud. Humans, led by Captain Arik, had not only earned her respect, they had sparked a profound shift in her perspective that would shape the future of the galaxy. The galaxy held its breath. Above the critical alien stronghold, the fleet formations of multiple species glimmered against the dark expanse of space. Vera stood on the command deck of her flagship, her tall frame rigid with focus. Beside her, Captain Arik observed the battlefield calmly, as if predicting every move that was about to unfold. The Council had finally approved a joint operation, combining the strengths of advanced alien fleets with the human strike team. The humans were few in number, yet Vera had insisted their role would be pivotal. She had witnessed their creativity, courage, and ability to adapt. She knew that if humans failed, the mission could collapse, but if they succeeded, they could turn the tide of the conflict. "Captain Arik," Vera said, her voice firm, "the enemy is stronger than any you have faced before. Their fleet and defenses are formidable. Are you certain your team is ready?" Arik's eyes were steady. "Commander, we are ready. We fight differently, but we fight to succeed. Observe carefully, this is how humans make a difference." The operation began. Alien warships advanced in predictable formations, their weapons poised for maximum destruction. The humans, small in number and lightly armed compared to the alien fleets, moved with precision and quiet confidence. From the command deck, Vera watched as Arik coordinated his team with subtle signals. They navigated asteroid fields, gravitational anomalies, and enemy fire with astonishing efficiency. Where alien tactics relied on brute force, humans relied on ingenuity and anticipation. One human ship drew the enemy's attention, creating an illusion of vulnerability. Another ship flanked, using the cover of asteroids to approach unnoticed. Arik directed each maneuver with calm authority, predicting enemy responses and adjusting strategies instantly. Vera felt her skepticism dissolve entirely. Humans had not only survived dangerous missions, they had mastered them in ways few species could. Their combination of unpredictability, creativity, and courage was transforming the battlefield. Below, on the planet's surface, human strike teams faced the enemy's defensive positions. Laser grids, patrol drones, and automated traps awaited them. Yet the humans did not falter. Using teamwork, observation, and improvisation, they bypassed the hazards. Some created decoys from environmental materials. Others used light, shadows, and terrain to confuse the enemy. Vera observed quietly. The humans moved as one, yet each individual adapted independently when necessary. There was no chaos, no panic, only strategy guided by instinct and intelligence. The critical moment came when the humans reached the enemy's central command facility. The structure was heavily defended, and conventional attacks would have failed. Arik led a small unit toward the facility, bypassing guards, disabling security measures, and exploiting vulnerabilities in the defenses. Vera's heart pounded. This was the moment when failure would have been catastrophic. Yet the humans acted with precision, moving calmly and confidently as if they had already calculated every outcome. Within moments, they secured the facility, disabling enemy communications and supply routes. Simultaneously, in orbit, The alien fleets exploited the confusion caused by human maneuvers. Enemy ships became disoriented, their attacks misdirected. The humans' ingenuity on the surface had directly influenced the outcome in space. Vera turned to Arik. "You predicted this would succeed?" she asked quietly. Arik shook his head slightly. "Not predicted, Commander. Anticipated. We do not rely on certainty. We adapt to reality as it unfolds." The final push required every human to act decisively. Alien reinforcements attempted to retake the facility, but humans had prepared. Using traps, environmental advantages, and clever coordination, they held the position. Each movement was synchronized, yet each individual remained flexible, adjusting instantly to new threats. Vera could hardly contain her admiration. Humans were not merely participating. They were leading the operation in ways the Council could not have imagined. Their creativity and courage had turned what seemed impossible into success. As the battle concluded, the alien commander responsible for the planet's defense surrendered. The humans had achieved a decisive victory. Their ingenuity and coordination had not only outmatched superior numbers and firepower, but had also inspired the Allied fleets to fight with renewed determination. Vera stepped forward as Arik's team regrouped. "You have done what few would have believed possible," she said, her voice firm and resolute. "Humans are no longer underestimated. Today you have changed the galaxy's understanding of strength and courage." Arik inclined his head respectfully. "We did not fight to be recognized, Commander. We fought to survive and succeed, but I am glad the galaxy may now see the truth." Vera's eyes softened slightly. She had entered this mission with doubt and skepticism, yet she now saw humans in a completely new light. Their strength was not in brute power or technology alone, it was in courage, creativity, and the ability to adapt where others could not. The Council convened once more, this time to acknowledge the humans' contributions. Vera spoke first, her presence commanding attention. "The humans have demonstrated extraordinary capability. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability have secured victory where conventional tactics would have failed. It is time to recognize them not as auxiliary forces, but as true warriors of the galaxy." Murmurs of agreement spread throughout the chamber. Some council members, previously skeptical, nodded. The humans had proven their worth beyond doubt. Vera returned to the human base later that evening. The team was celebrating quietly, not with arrogance, but with satisfaction and pride. Each member had played a vital role, and their unity had been key to their success. "You have earned respect beyond what I thought possible," Vera said quietly to Arik. "I misjudged your species. That was a mistake I will not repeat." Arik smiled faintly. "Recognition is not our goal, Commander. We seek only to perform to the best of our ability, to endure and to achieve what others cannot. The rest follows naturally." Vera nodded, her mind reflecting on the events of the past weeks. Humans had proven themselves in training, in trials, and now in battle. Their unpredictability, courage, and creativity had altered the course of the operation and reshaped the Council's understanding of what a warrior could be. "Commander," Arik said softly, "humans have always survived by adapting. Our strength is not in what others expect, but in what they cannot anticipate. That is why we endure and why we succeed." Vera considered his words carefully. She realized that humans' greatest weapon was not firepower or numbers, but imagination, resilience, and courage. They thrived where others failed because they dared to act, to think differently, and to adapt. "You have opened my eyes," she admitted quietly. "I now understand that strength is not always measured by power or technology. Sometimes it is measured by courage, intelligence, and the ability to act when others hesitate." Arik inclined his head. "Commander, humans have always adapted, survived, and thrived. That is our gift. And perhaps the galaxy is beginning to understand it as well." Vera watched as the humans stood together, united, calm, and ready for whatever challenge came next. She knew that their journey was only beginning. The galaxy would face new conflicts, new challenges, and new enemies, but with humans as warriors. The balance of power would shift in ways that no one could have predicted. For Vera, the transformation was personal as well. She had begun this mission skeptical, even mocking the idea of human warriors. Yet now she stood alongside them, a witness to their courage and ingenuity. She had seen firsthand that humans could endure, adapt, and succeed where others would fail, and deep inside, she knew one truth she could not yet voice aloud. Humans were not only capable, they were extraordinary. As the sun rose over the rocky peaks of the planet, Vera and Arik stood side by side, looking out at the horizon. The humans had proven themselves. The galaxy had witnessed their strength and a new era had begun. Vera's voice was quiet but firm. Humans have earned their place among the galaxy's greatest warriors. Today their courage and ingenuity have changed everything. Arik nodded. And tomorrow we will continue to prove it, Commander. Humanity is just beginning. Vera allowed herself a small smile, a rare gesture for the commander who had once doubted humans. The galaxy had been transformed, not by brute power, but by imagination, courage, and the enduring spirit of humanity. And as the stars shone above, Vera knew this was only the beginning of a story that would echo across the galaxy for generations.